They thought they'd won, my fiancé, my father, and my golden boy brother. But they didn't expect the DNA test, or what I'd do after the business collapsed. My brother got my fiancée pregnant. Then my dad handed him the family business and a house. That was the moment I decided both of them would pay. What happened next shattered every illusion I had about family and left a trail of betrayal I'm still crawling out of. I'm 34 now. But to understand why this still haunts me, you need to know how it began. I grew up in Elgin, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Our family looked normal from the outside. 2 boys, hard-working parents, an honest Midwestern upbringing. But behind closed doors, things were different. My younger brother Jesse, 3 years younger than me, was always treated like some rare and delicate miracle. He was born premature, had lung problems, constant hospital visits, and somehow, even decades later, still wore that fragile child label like a crown. Meanwhile, I was just Sam, the older brother, the one expected to be perfect, patient, and invisible. When Jesse flunked a class, he's been through a lot. When he skipped school to hang out at the arcade, boys will be boys. But when I got detention once for being late, I was grounded for a week. By 15, I started working for our dad, Rick, in his modest electrical contracting business. I didn't want to be an electrician at first. I just wanted a minute of his attention. But I turned out to be good, great, even. I stayed late, learned from YouTube, and picked up every skill I could. Jesse? He barely showed up. He was too busy launching failed drop shipping stores or day trading crypto using Dad's retirement money. Still, every success I had was somehow credited to Jesse. Jesse has great people skills, Dad would say. He's the one who told me we should get a website. That was in 2020. I eventually moved to my own place, a solid 25-minute drive from the house. Not far, but far enough to breathe. Things were good. I was building something. Even thought about starting my own company someday. Then came Mia. She was 28 when we met, a property manager overseeing a rewiring job on a new complex downtown. I'd never met anyone like her. She knew electrical codes better than half the techs on our crew. Confident, sharp, direct, but also kind. After the job wrapped, she called in a work order at her own apartment. Spoiler, nothing was broken. She just wanted to see me again. We started dating. And man, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Mia wasn't like the women I'd dated before. She understood what it was like to always be the responsible one. Her older sister was a spoiled, beloved overachiever too. We used to joke about starting a support group for emotionally neglected siblings. We moved in together after 2 years. She even helped me modernize the business. New invoicing system, proper contracts, a slick scheduling app. Within a year, the company was running like a dream. My dad was reluctant at first, but even he admitted things were smoother. And then, 4 years in, I proposed. I thought life was set. A thriving business. A woman I loved. A future. But about a year ago, Jesse came crawling back, broke again after another business flop. Dad, ever the enabler, gave him a cushy job at our office. He was supposed to answer phones and handle paperwork. Harmless, right? Wrong. That's when everything started unraveling. Mia started spending more time at my parents' house, supposedly to help with wedding planning and teach Jesse the new billing system. Then the secrets began. Changed passwords, private giggles, late-night shifts with Jesse that ended in whispered jokes I wasn't allowed to understand. 8 months later, she told me she was pregnant. And then she told me it might not be mine. I sat in that driveway, gripping the steering wheel, while my world crumbled around me. And when I asked if it was Jesse's, she didn't deny it. That was the moment I stopped being a brother and started becoming something else. I don't even remember slamming the truck door. I just remember the blood boiling in my chest as I stormed into my parents' house. My mom was in the kitchen, peeling carrots like it was just another Tuesday. My dad was in the office, feet on the desk. And there he was, Jesse, sitting in my chair, sipping a soda like he owned the damn place. When he saw me, his face changed. That pathetic, guilty half-smile like he was about to say, "Bro, it's not what you think." Except it was exactly what I thought. I didn't say a word. My fists did the talking. I don't remember the first punch, but I remember the blood. Jesse hit the floor, gurgling curses while Dad and 2 of our crew guys dragged me off him. I was shaking, adrenaline pumping so hard my vision blurred. And then Jesse said it. The words that broke whatever was left of my soul. "She's having my baby." Time stopped. I looked at my father. His face turned pale. Mom dropped the carrots. And Janet, our receptionist for 18 years, grabbed her purse and walked out. I found out later she quit on the spot, said she couldn't work for people like that. Dad kept trying to play peacemaker, but I wasn't listening. I told them all to burn in the fire they started. I walked out and didn't look back. When I got home, Mia was still sitting on the couch. Her bags weren't packed yet. She stood up like she was going to explain everything, as if there was something to explain. I never meant for it to happen, she whispered, mascara streaked down her cheeks. It was just one time. One time, I snapped. You've been screwing my brother behind my back for 4 months. She tried to talk, but I was already heading to the bedroom. I grabbed an old duffel bag, threw it at her feet. You've got 24 hours. After that, I changed the locks. And the baby? She asked, still crying. What if it's yours? Then we'll do it the right way. Court, DNA test, lawyers. But you and me? We're done. I left her crying on the porch. I stayed with my buddy Max for a week. Didn't answer my phone. Just tried to keep my head together. But the voicemails kept piling up, mostly from my mom, begging me to come home, saying Dad had a solution. Against my better judgment, I went. And that's when Dad dropped bombshell number 2. He wanted Jesse and Mia to get married. You heard that right. Not only had my brother knocked up my fiancée, now they were playing house. And my father? He was encouraging it. In fact, he was going to hand them the family business. The two of them are going to start a family, he said like it was noble. It makes sense for Jesse to step up. To take over my business? Dad nodded like he was giving me a raise. With Mia's organizational skills and Jesse learning the trade. Jesse learning the trade? I barked. The guy can't even wire an outlet without nearly frying himself. Dad didn't flinch. He's trying, Sam. He's finally showing initiative. I laughed. Not the funny kind. The kind of laugh you make when your life starts to feel like satire. You want me to train him? I asked. You want me to hand everything I built over to the man who betrayed me? If you can't be part of the team, Dad said, maybe this isn't the place for you. So I walked. Again. But this time, I didn't just walk, I made calls. All of them. Every client I had brought into the business. Every contractor I'd worked with. Every name that trusted me and not my dad's crusty reputation. I didn't badmouth anyone. I just said I was no longer handling the jobs and gave them recommendations for other electricians I trusted. A week later, the business was bleeding. But that wasn't even the most satisfying part. The most satisfying part? Jesse and Mia actually got married. Courthouse wedding. No guests. Dad paid for their honeymoon and even co-signed a mortgage on a house. And me? I went to work for a rival company that treated me like a king. Better pay, better gear, better respect. I studied every night for 6 months, earned my master electrician license, something Dad always said I wasn't ready for. Turned out, I just wasn't ready to keep being his scapegoat. I didn't hear anything for months. Until one night, I got a call from my mom. 11:30 p.m. Please, she cried. Your father needs to talk to you. We're about to lose everything. Now that got my attention, because karma, as it turns out, wasn't done yet. When my mom called sobbing at 11:30 p.m., I almost didn't pick up, but something in her voice stopped me. Please, Sam. Your father, he says we're going to lose everything. And I don't know why, but I stayed on the line. Maybe because I wanted to hear him say it himself. Maybe because I needed to know just how bad it had gotten. When Dad finally got on the phone, his voice wasn't angry, commanding, or disappointed, his usual flavors. It was shaky, flat, broken. It's Jesse, he said. The business. It's all gone to hell. Turns out, giving the company to your least competent child is a bad idea. Who knew? Jesse had somehow managed to run 3 major commercial jobs straight into the ground. One of them, a retirement complex, had wiring so out of code the city threatened to sue. No permits, wrong gauge wires, no grounding, junction boxes hanging open like discount Halloween decorations. But wait, it gets better. Instead of hiring certified electricians, Jesse made his old college drinking buddy chief electrician. The guy's only electrical experience? Changing a light bulb without electrocuting himself. No license. No training. No clue. Dad found out after their insurance policy got canceled due to non-compliance with safety protocols. He started digging, and what he found was horrifying. Turns out Jesse was pocketing cash payments, not logging them, and using the money on, well, Nobody knows exactly. New car, designer clothes, mysterious Venmo transfers to a woman named Chrissy D, 69. The books were so cooked, Gordon Ramsay would have thrown them out. Then came the cherry on top. Jesse had been taking out loans against the company. Multiple. Large. And there was nothing left. Not in the business account. Not in his own. Just scorched earth. Dad's voice cracked. The bank's taking the house next month. But that wasn't the gut punch. The gut punch was what he said next. Please come back. You can fix this. I'll give you full control. Make you majority owner. I sat there staring at the wall, trying to decide if this was real life. 6 months ago, I'd have killed to hear those words. Now, they felt empty. And then he added one last twist. Sophie's gone. Left Jesse last week. Took the kid. Left a note. We don't even know where she is. I didn't say anything. I just stared at my phone. Until finally, I replied, not my circus. Not my monkeys. And I hung up. But that's not where it ends. 2 days later, Sophie texted me. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. But I need help. The baby's yours. Got the test. Jesse emptied my accounts and disappeared. Please. I have nowhere else to go. I didn't respond. I didn't even let myself feel anything. But it stuck in my chest like a rock I couldn't swallow. And then, like some twisted epilogue, Dad showed up at my new place. Unannounced. Same man who kicked me out of my own future, now standing on my porch in my mom's old Civic, looking like he hadn't shaved or slept in days. He didn't lecture. Didn't bark orders. Just asked, can we talk? I let him in. He sat on my couch like it was a foreign country. Looked around like he couldn't believe I'd built a life without him. Then he handed me a folder. Inside, paperwork to transfer 100% of the company to me. No strings. Full ownership. Mine. You always knew what you were doing, he said. I was just too proud to see it. And that should have been satisfying. Except it wasn't. Because you know what I was thinking? What happened to Jesse? I didn't ask. But he told me anyway. Drained our savings. Left a note saying he needed to find himself. Classic Jesse. Burn the house down and run before the flames reach his shoes. He's still your brother, Dad said. I looked him straight in the eye. No. He stopped being my brother the day he decided family loyalty meant nothing. Sound familiar? He winced like I'd slapped him. Then he started begging. We can fix this. You and me. Make the business what it was. Be a real family again. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You gave everything to Jesse, even after he betrayed me. And now you want me to clean up the wreckage? But this is your legacy too, he pleaded. No, I said. It was. You gave it away. Now you get to live with that choice. He looked 20 years older when he walked out. Later that night, I got a text from Sophie. I'm scared. Please. I'll go through your lawyer. Just don't leave us alone. I stared at it, then put my phone face down. Not because I didn't care, but because for the first time in my life, I knew this wasn't mine to fix. I didn't sleep that night. Sophie's message sat on my phone like a ticking bomb. The baby's yours. Please. I'll go through your lawyer. Just don't leave us alone. You'd think that kind of text would come with some sort of emotional explosion, panic, rage, maybe even joy. But I felt nothing. Just numb. The kind of numb that comes after being bled dry for months. Still, the thought looped in my brain like bad static. The baby's mine. I told myself I wouldn't respond directly. Everything goes through my lawyer. That was the plan. That was the boundary. But life doesn't really care about your boundaries. 2 days later, I was coming home from a job when I saw her. Sophie. On my porch. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, but smaller. Deflated. She stood up when she saw me, holding a manila envelope in both hands like it was a peace offering. I didn't say a word. Just walked past her, unlocked my door. Sam, please, she said, voice hoarse. I just need 10 minutes. I swear. She held up the envelope. Paternity test. You don't even have to open it. Just let me say what I need to say. I stepped inside, left the door open. She followed. And for a moment, we just stood there in my entryway. Me in my work boots, still covered in drywall dust. Her clutching a stupid folder like it could undo what she did. I know I can't fix this, she began. I know I don't deserve your help. But I can't do this alone. You did this alone, I said. You made choices. And now you're living with them. Tears welled in her eyes, but I wasn't moved. Not anymore. Why Jesse? I asked. My voice came out quieter than I expected. Why him? She blinked, like the question hadn't even occurred to her. I don't know, she whispered. It was never about love. I was confused. He was around. He made me feel needed in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. You were always so focused on the business, the future, everything. I felt like I was falling behind in your life. I laughed bitterly. So you caught up by jumping into my brother's bed? I hated myself for it, she snapped. Every day? But by the time I realized what I'd done, I was already in too deep. Then why'd you stay? Her eyes dropped. Because I thought maybe if I helped him, if I built something with him, I could make it right. And how'd that work out for you? She didn't answer. I opened the envelope. Black and white lab report. DNA test. Positive match, 99.9%. I sat down, and for the first time in months, I felt something. Not anger, not grief, responsibility. Because that baby had nothing to do with any of this mess. That baby was innocent. I'll do right by the kid, I said. Legally, financially, I won't be Jessie. She nodded. That's all I'm asking. No, I said. It's not. You wanted me to save you. But I'm not your safety net anymore. You threw that away. I know. I leaned back, tired in every bone. Get a lawyer. Have your lawyer talk to mine. We'll figure out custody. Support. But you and me? We're done. I understand, she whispered. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. That night, I sat alone in my living room and stared at the ceiling. And I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. I was 9 years old, hiding behind the garage with a scraped knee. Dad had yelled at me for not raking the leaves right. Jessie was inside with a popsicle and cartoons. Mom found me crying. She knelt beside me and said, sometimes, being the good one doesn't feel good, but it's still the right thing. Back then, I didn't understand it. Now, I finally did. Being the good one doesn't mean being the fool. It means you walk through hell and still don't light someone else's match. 3 weeks passed. I stayed busy, focused on work, focused on rebuilding what they'd all tried to bury me under. My lawyer was handling everything: custody arrangements, child support filings, DNA documentation. Sophie stuck to her word. No calls, no drama, just short emails with updates. We were civil, nothing more. I thought that was the end of it. Then, one rainy Tuesday morning, Jessie showed up at my job site. No warning, no text, just there. He looked like hell. Hoodie stained, hair greasy, bags under his eyes. He walked like someone who hadn't slept in days, or maybe just didn't care anymore. Sam, he said, voice cracking. Can we talk? The crew looked over at us, confused. I gave them a nod. They knew the story. They backed off. I didn't say anything, just folded my arms and waited. I screwed up, he muttered. No kidding. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I let out a sharp breath. Stop saying that. You meant to sleep with my fiancée. You meant to lie about it. You meant to take my father's company and run it into the ground. He flinched like I'd punched him. I didn't mean to ruin everything, he whispered. You didn't ruin everything, I said, walking past him. Just the part of me that used to care. He followed. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said. I need help. I have nothing. No money. No place to go. Dad's gone. Mom won't answer. I stopped. Turned. You remember the housewarming party I threw last year? I asked. He blinked. Yeah. You came in late. Didn't bring anything. Spent the night flirting with Sophie while I introduced you to every contractor in town. And when you left, you took one of my craft beers. The last one. He looked confused. I don't. That's who you are, Jessie, I snapped. You take. Without asking. Without thinking. You take, and then you cry when there's nothing left. He stared at the ground. I softened just slightly. Look, I said. I'm not going to let you starve. If you need a place to sleep tonight, I'll cover a motel. One night. That's it. After that, figure your life out. I did. He nodded slowly. Thanks. But, I added, don't ever come to me again with your hand out. I'm not your father. I'm not your lifeboat. And I sure as hell ain't your brother anymore. He nodded again. Didn't say a word as he turned and walked off into the rain. That night, I got a call from Mom. They'd moved to a small town in Ohio. Dad was working at a hardware store. She was babysitting for a neighbor to earn some extra cash. I still worry about Jessie, she said softly. I know. You were always the strong one, she added. I just wish we hadn't put so much on you. It's okay, Mom. And maybe it was. Or maybe I just learned how to carry it better. A month later, I held my daughter for the first time. Sophie had delivered quietly, No drama. No expectations. Just a simple message from her lawyer. You have a healthy baby girl. When I walked into that hospital room, Sophie didn't cry or beg or ask for anything. She just handed me the bundle and whispered, "Her name is Nora." Nora. Tiny fingers. Big eyes. Completely unaware of the chaos she was born into. And in that moment, everything else fell away. Jesse. Dad. The betrayal. The business. None of it mattered. She was mine, and I would be there for her. Always. Not because I wanted to save Sophie or fix anything, but because this was my chance to do it right. Sometimes revenge doesn't come in fire or fury. Sometimes it's the quiet moments where you win. The life you build, the child you raise, the peace you keep. I didn't destroy them. I just stopped letting them destroy me, and I walked away stronger.